Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Two of a Kind Sports, the show where passion meets the game. I'm your co host, Denise.
And I'm your co-host D Nice.
And this week, folks, let's just get right to it. We are going to take a dive into tragic week number 14, where the Minnesota Vikings hosted our Washington Commanders in what can only be described as an unmitigated disaster. It was a tragedy. And D Nice, as you can see, I am wearing black because this, folks, is a funeral. Our commanders just got laid to rest.
Once again, BTA, belt to you know what. Denise, coming into this week, I was very, very optimistic because how we played against the Denver Broncos. We showed a lot of passion, like two of a kind sports. But this week, it did not translate to the same.
It didn't.
As I always say, we're the team that's the get right team. We allow other teams when their quarterbacks are not playing well, where there may be a running back, where there be an offensive line. When they're not playing well, when they play the Washington Commanders, they get right.
All of a sudden.
We made JJ McCarthy look like he was one of them dudes. You know what I mean?
He looked elite. JJ McCarthy looked elite against the Commanders, and that is just absolutely ridiculous, and we came in 3-9, okay, and they came in 4-8. So these Minnesota Vikings were only one game ahead of us. So it's not like we came up against some world beaters, but that's what they turned into when we went to Minnesota. When we went to Minneapolis, I mean, this Minnesota Vikings team really transformed into a team that was a well-oiled machine, functioning beautifully on all sides of the ball, every facet of the game. I mean, there were no weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that was so alarming to me, Denise, is because in this game we didn't allow Richard Jefferson to go off. We didn't allow the running back. We actually saved. He only had 11 yards. Okay,
we didn't need their stars to go off, and they didn't need their stars to go off either, because even with their star players, like Jefferson, not having a great game individually, collectively, these Minnesota Vikings spread the love. They spread the wealth. They let everybody get a chance to play.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And also it just, what I was so alarmed about in this game, especially in the first quarter, Denise, the Minnesota Vikings, okay, the first drive that we actually had, we went down the field, they went down the field, but they sustained the drive as long as possible. You know what I mean? Because I just didn't understand why the defense would not stop it couldn't stop anybody. Here it is that we had in their first drive, McCarthy, he threw to Josh Oliver, okay? He threw to Josh Oliver for an 18-yard touchdown pass, and that made it 7-0 with 11 minutes and 3 seconds.
Now, and that was the first touchdown they had in 23 possessions.
That is crazy.
So they're already, building up great statistics at the Commanders' expense. Just with the first drive, the Minnesota Vikings were making things go their way. And they whatever bad luck they were having before, they turned it around. They ended whatever losing streak or whatever negative streak they were experiencing. They snapped every last one of them. So, in that first possession, the Minnesota Vikings were able to get a touchdown. And I said, okay, because see, the Minnesota Vikings won the coin toss.
Yeah.
And they elected to go first. And in so doing, they put their offense on the field first, giving themselves the opportunity to score first. And that's exactly what they did. So
Yeah.
that automatically put the Commanders in a catch-up role. So we had to play catch up because we were already behind at the start.
Right.
And
And not
what
to mention, Denise, not to mention last week, I'm just going back to alluding to what you said in previous weeks. Do you know that the Seattle Seahawks, they blanked the Minnesota Vikings last week 26-0. Now, I guess the favor was for back to us, right?
they did it to
You know what I
us.
mean? They did it right back to us. So once again, we helped them to get right. So that's it's just so frustrating because they gave us last week. The team gave us a chance to really feel like we were back in this. I ain't gonna say far as playoff wise, but it had us building onto something. It made us fans a little optimistic and said, okay, number 17 is back. You have 85 back, which is Noah Brown. You have now Traylon Burks, which Noah played more than Traylon Burks this week. I don't know if you guys looked at the snap count like I did, but Traylon Burks was not getting any looks like Noah Brown was.
Right.
Um, you had Zach Ertz, of course, but that's the thing. It's like week to week, we never had a full set. We never had any continuity. And so this week, I thought with us getting all the guys back, getting the band back together, that we were going to take another step and move in the right direction. But boy, was I wrong. Was D Nice wrong? Yes, he was, because D Nice thought that we were going to actually beat the Minnesota Vikings this week. That wasn't the case, Denise. That was not the case at all.
Well, as you know, I respectfully begged to differ with the final choice of the Commanders in the overtime against the Broncos. I said, instead of going for the 2-point conversion,
Mm-hmm.
to try to take the win, I said that the Commanders
No, it would have
didn't have.
tied it up. It would have tied it up.
Yes, it would have. It would. No, no.
Yes, yes. The tie.
The
Field goal would have
two-point
tied it up.
conversion would have put them ahead.
Right,
The
right.
2-point conversion would have put them ahead.
Yes.
So I said, no, don't try that 2-point conversion because it's hard enough to get into the end zone one time. The Denver Broncos, with their stout defense, is not going to let you into the end zone 2 consecutive times.
Yeah.
Even a tired, depleted, worn out Denver Broncos defense is better than a Commanders offense. So I said, no, call out Jake Moody. We know he can kick the field goal, get that extra point, and we can tie it up, and we can leave the game with a tie, having stopped the losing streak, snap that losing streak, stop the bleeding, and then you don't get to wipe the slate clean, but at least you get to wipe the slate. So when you go into this game at Minnesota, okay, you're going to Minneapolis, you don't have home field advantage, you're going on the road, at least you can come into this game not having lost your previous game. You tied a good team. That would have been the outcome that I would have preferred. So I wasn't in the celebratory mood that most of you were, because I felt the 3-9 loss. I felt like this team has lost 9 times when the team could have chosen not to lose. Now, I know you chose to win.
Play to win a game, Denise. You play to win.
But
that's why I beg to differ from you. I mean,
under the circumstances, under normal circumstances, I say absolutely go for the win every time. But when you are on a team that is failing over and over and over again and finding new ways to lose games, I say stop the bleeding. So coming into this game against the Minnesota Vikings, the play calling on the part of Cliff Kingsbury, our offensive coordinator, was not imaginative at all. Everybody was asking, why in the red zone are you choosing to pass or throw the ball instead of just handing it off and using your running game? Because Chris Rodriguez is a tough runner. I like him. I think he's our strongest running back because of the number of tackles that he breaks after they catch him.
Because he was averaging 5.2 yards a carry. That's why I didn't understand why Cliff didn't, continue to go with him. And even when Bill came in, Bill averaged 4.2 yards. So that's the thing that I always had with Cliff Kingsbury, is that he doesn't commit to the run. He tries to window dress too much. He tries to stay cute. You know what I mean? And
Well, cute doesn't work though.
it
See,
doesn't
that's the
work.
if
It doesn't
cute
work.
worked sometimes, that
Yes,
would be fine. But when you're racking up all these losses and you're on a losing streak, whatever you've been doing does
yeah,
not work. And to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. And Cliff
understood.
Kingsbury's unimaginative, uninspired, predictable play calling is meeting the definition of insanity because
Yeah,
it does not work. And everybody watching the game is saying, hey, run it in, run it in. You're
right.
looking at the goal line, run it in. And what does Cliff call?
I
Pass the
pass.
ball. Pass. And when you throw the ball that close, you run the risk of having the intended receiver not catch the ball, which
Yeah.
is what was happening. And
Hmm.
you also run the risk of getting intercepted. So we don't want any interceptions. We don't want any incompletions. We
Right.
don't want that in the end zone. That is where it is time to put points on the board. And we didn't do that.
We did
We
not.
didn't do that at all. Like
Right.
I could say this is the first quarter, this is the second quarter, this is the third. We didn't do it throughout the entire game, folks. So the story's not changing.
It ain't
Okay.
changed at all. I mean, it was very evident. You just seen it just looked like something in a book. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, when you're in the story and you're trying to find the ending, but just you keep going through each page, you're like, okay, well, what's next? That's what I say about our Washington Commanders. We go on the field. Sometimes it seems like we don't even want to be on the field. You know, I'm always like, what's next? What is Cliff going to do? Sometimes he shows like in the first quarter. Okay, I saw Cliff Kingsbury have Jaden Daniels finally under center, which I was very very happy about,
Yeah.
Denise, because it showed that okay. Now, granted, they say a lot of the formations that Jaden is in is because what Jaden likes. Well, if that's the case, we need to tell Jaden we got to mix this up because teams already are kind of knowing what we like best. So what good teams are going to do? They're going to take those tendencies away, and try to make you do something that you're not doing well at. So Jaden needs to actually, come from under center, sometimes shotgun. But we need to start getting our ball in the playmakers' hands. We cannot continue to allow Jaden to be Superman. Just like when when he was trying to throw that screen pass, and Andrew Van Winkle was right there. And I'm looking at Jaden like, come on, Jaden, why did you throw that?
Right. In
That's
his
the way.
direction. You don't throw near
And
his
he's good for
direction at
that.
all.
He's good for that. Van Winkle is good. Van Ginkel is good for that. And what
Yeah.
did he do? He made a play on it. He tapped the ball up to himself. He got the running down the field. And here
He
comes Jay.
was off to the races. He was
Right.
Van Kinkle was about to score a touchdown. There
And
was nothing in front of him but that end zone. Okay.
yeah,
And thank you, Mr. Scary Terry McLaurin, because if Terry didn't have the speed and the tenacity to run him down, that would have been 7 more points. I'm giving 6 points for the touchdown and the kicker the extra point. That would have been 7 more points for the Minnesota Vikings. So they would have beaten us 38-0 if not for Scary Terry McLaurin running Van Kinkel down and tackling him, because that was almost certain to be a touchdown. And let me say this, the way Ward was running
yeah.
and pushed Jaden Daniels.
Pushed him down like he was a little child.
Yeah, I mean it was Isaiah. It wasn't Ward. Ward is the one who hit Ertz.
Hurts.
But
Yeah.
the way the Viking hit Jaden when he was running,
Yeah.
knocked Jaden down.
Mhm.
Jaden fell on his arm with the dislocated elbow. He was hurt.
Yes.
Now, this is what has made me change my position on the very controversial question of should Jaden Daniels return? Should
Mhm.
he have returned? Yes, he should have returned because he was medically cleared to play.
Yes.
After this incident of him getting re-injured, and maybe it's not a big a really bad re-injury, maybe
Yeah.
it's a slight aggravation of
Which it
the
is.
injury. Okay, but even with that, okay, that notwithstanding, I say at this point I don't want to see Jaden Daniels play anymore this season
Unfortunately, he
because
is. Unfortunately, he's going to play this week.
but see that just lends itself to Dan Quinn's poor decision making. And I've been talking steadily on right here on Two of a Kind Sports. I've been talking week after week about Dan Quinn's bad decision making, his poor judgment. Okay. Now, I don't feel like Jaden Daniels should be put back out there because it's one situation, it's one set of circumstances to be medically cleared to play. It is a different situation and a different set of circumstances to be medically cleared to get hit. And we see what happened to Jaden and that wasn't a tackle.
Right.
Okay. He got pushed. Can you imagine him getting tackled with players landing on top of him? That would be even worse. That would be even more dangerous. That would be even more risky to his health and well-being. So even if Jaden gets medically cleared to play, being medically cleared to get hit is not where he stands. Okay. I think Jaden needs more time. He needs to continue his rehab. He needs to get stronger. He needs to get thicker. Like you mentioned last week, he needs to get more mass on him. And let the rest of this season, the remainder of this season, be used for his rehabilitation. Now, let me have a petty moment. I'm about to get petty, okay? I saw part of the practice. I saw a clip of the practice leading up to this Minnesota game.
Okay.
And they showed Jaden Daniels and another player dancing during practice. They were dancing.
Okay.
Having a good time.
That's not out of the ordinary. They do that around the league.
When you have only won 3 games, you don't have time to dance. This is not soul train.
That's before practice. Come on, Denise. You gotta listen. Let me tell you this. At your job, right? You gotta make it light. You can't always go in there regardless.
You don't make it light when you're not performing. See, that's negative. That's the laid back, lackadaisical attitude that is keeping this team feeling like it's okay. We'll get better. With this is unacceptable. No, when you are losing, you practice harder and you keep your nose to the ground. You know cameras are on you. You know petty people are watching you. So no, this is not Soul Train. This is not American Bandstand. I don't want to see any of you jokers dancing because you haven't won but 3 games this whole season. That dancing did not help them. That dancing didn't help Jaden. It didn't help any of the team members. And yes, I'm being petty, and I want to see these practices run with more discipline. Because let me tell you, it's the mental. It's not always your physical capabilities, because every man who is on this team is capable of playing football at varying degrees and levels.
Okay.
But when you are on a losing streak, it is time to get serious. All this, let's keep it light, let's be lighthearted. This is why these guys feel like, as long as I say it's bad to lose, then I can just keep on going. And because let me tell you, I'm listening to Dan Quinn's philosophizing. Excuse me. I'm hearing him philosophize every week.
Too much.
It's unacceptable. We have to focus on what's wrong and get it right. And you take it one game at a time, and you don't do too much. You just do what you're assigned to do. All this philosophizing, no solutions, because he said we took a step forward and then we wound up taking 3 steps back.
Yeah, we probably like 5 or 6 back, because the way we played yesterday, we lost.
Losing is not a step forward.
Yeah.
See, that's attitudinal. Losing is not a step forward. Okay, the way you can describe a loss that came with a lot of effort is say that we lost, but we put forth a lot of effort, and instead of building on that effort, here we have clearly regressed. But the thing about it is, you don't have a solution for the regression. Right. We know you regressed. We don't need you coming up every week to the media stating the obvious. We know, we see.
Well, when you want to
You're
lose a streak,
supposed to fix it.
you definitely regress. So there is no getting around that. Coming in, we were on a 7-game losing streak. Now it's what, 8. So that's regression within itself, especially when you went 12
And
and 5 last year.
we don't need him stating the obvious. So now I'm hearing the players speak.
Right.
And they're saying the same thing. Well, this was unacceptable. We don't like this. This is not who we are. Yeah, it is who you are, because this is what you earned. Or up next game, we just have to get it together. Wait a minute. First of all, why is nobody on this team angry and worried about whether they will play the next game or not? Everybody's so confident and so no. Next week we next week. Now half of you jokers should be sitting on the bench next week. Okay, half of you. Go ahead, D Nice. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let me calm down.
No, go ahead. Go on with your rant, because that's going to tie into the next thing you and I was talking about before we got on this live. What we heard. So I want you to go ahead, finish with your rant.
And then, they shouldn't. Too many of these players are very confident in what they're going to do next week, and how they're going to give it the old college try next week, and how they're going to get it together and do better and be better next week. I'm thinking, what makes everybody so sure they're going to be in the starting lineup next week? You know what makes them sure? They're philosophizing, non-problem solving, no solution having, soft Dan Quinn. Okay, the head coach. And that's why I tell you guys, when I think about this Commanders team being champions, I do not see Dan Quinn at the helm. I don't see him leading this team to a championship. And I'm not talking about a division championship. I'm not even seeing another conference championship, because the way he coaches is soft. The lack of his ability and intention to make good decisions, it's not there.
Right.
The ability is not there. The intention, I guess he's well-intentioned, but he doesn't make good decisions. And when Jaden was playing and was hurt, he was like, before Jaden got hurt, Jaden was still in the game, and people were like, well, why is he still in the game? The game was already lost. We had no chance of winning, so Jaden should have been pulled before Jaden got hurt. Okay, well, Dan Quinn kept him in the game as long as he did, and then came back and said, well, I was going to pull him and some other guy. Well, you should have pulled them at the end of the third quarter. The fourth quarter should have been Jaden Daniels' time to regather, recuperate, recover, or whatever, from his bad play, not from an injury, because he wasn't injured at the end of the third quarter. Okay, it was in the fourth quarter that he got hurt. So Dan Quinn's poor judgment, bad decision making, kept Jaden Daniels out too long. And then after everybody, came at him, there was such backlash. Then Dan Quinn said, you know what? I kept him out there too long. That was my fault. I put that on my shoulders. Okay, the damage is already done.
Right.
The damage is already. So here, if he decides to put Jaden Daniels back out on the field, yet again, now that we have been officially eliminated from the playoffs, and I mean, come on, 3 wins. Who thought the Commanders were going to the playoffs? The Commanders would go to the playoffs as spectators to watch and cheer for the teams who are playoff teams, but it's not the Commanders. So they, at this point, I can see some people are saying, you want to compete against your divisional rivals, your divisional opponents, but for Jaden, he needs more time to rehab, to recover, to recuperate, because we see how easily his injury can be aggravated.
Right.
He can get injured really quick. And I'm going to say something that I'm not hearing people say, because people just don't want to say it about Jaden Daniels. I'm going to say it. Jaden Daniels this season, in the year 2025 of our Lord, he is injury prone. Jaden Daniels is injury prone, from the tissue tear to the ribs to the elbow trying to relocate to a different part of his body where it doesn't belong. That is injury prone. And this game against the Vikings, where he wasn't tackled, he was pushed. And re-aggravated his injury, where he had to be pulled from the game. He needed medical treatment. Okay, so even if he felt better, afterward, he had to get off that field and be seen by the medical staff. So, but that doesn't bode well for playing him anymore this season.
But Denise, I heard something, and you, like I said, like I alluded to prior, you and I heard prior, and shout out to Lake Lewis. Heard something very disturbing, Commander fans, that it makes D Nice kind of wonder is Dan Quinn starting to lose the locker room? Because on the contrary of that, we heard from Donna Hopkins and from Lake Lewis that 2 players were late to the game on Sunday. The game starts at 12, okay? You had Javon Kinlaw and you had Frankie Louvu, who came in at 10 a.m. The rest of the players was all suited and booted, was out on the field getting themselves together. Now, it could have been anything behind that, but that's not a good message that you're supposed to be sending. For Kinlaw, you just came to this team. You should be walking on eggshells anyway, because to me, for real, you ain't done nothing. The money that they paid you, you're a sometime player. For that $15 million a year, I need to see you blow up, and you're a big guy. I need to see you blow that up. And Frankie, you still stuck in last year, because this year you ain't done nothing, my guy. Now I kind of see why the New York Jets gave up on you. Now I see why the Carolina Panthers gave up on you. You can't tackle good. You know what I mean? And for you to be coming in 2 hours prior to the game, that doesn't look good, Denise. That does not look good for your other bets, showing your other bets, and for your new guys. That sent to me a bad message. And I think, like I said, I don't know if something else was behind that, but if those 2 guys were late, DQ needs to crack that whip. And once it goes back to what you said, Denise, him being too much of a nice guy. So to me, that's unacceptable, because like you said, a 3-8, 3-9 team, now 3-10, you have no room for margin of error, and you have no room to be doing this type of childish and unprofessional stuff.
Well, I definitely view Lake Lewis Jr. as a very, very credible
Absolutely.
source. And Donna definitely confirmed.
Yes.
Okay, because she witnessed it firsthand, like Lake Lewis did.
And Candy was with him too, because that's what Lake did mention. But that's unprofessional. They see that from the press box.
Well, and to Lake's credit, he did say, in all fairness, that he did not know why they were late. And there is a possibility that there could be a valid, acceptable explanation for their delayed entrance.
This is true, but I doubt it. This is true, but I doubt it.
Now, but that's fair, because
everybody else came on the team. Everybody else was on the team bus. Why weren't they on the team bus?
Well, see, but I'm just giving Lake Lewis his credit. Okay, yes. I'm not saying that there is a reasonable, logical explanation, but I'm saying, to Lake Lewis's credit, okay, since he's the one who brought it up, and thank goodness he did bring it up. To his credit, he acknowledged that he does not know why they were late.
This is true.
Okay. And he said it may ruffle some feathers. Lake Lewis Jr., I don't care if you ruffle the feathers. You can clip the feathers. You can crush the feathers. Okay. Yep. Because these birds don't fly. They don't have wings. Okay. Because let me tell you, Kinlaw, this is the second time that Kinlaw is involved in some nonsense. Okay. Yeah. Because even with the Deron Payne fighting situation where Deron Payne got ejected, it was Kinlaw who jumped in the referee's face. He jumped in the face of a black and white stripe, trying to present the case for Deron, trying to make Deron Payne's case. When here Deron got ejected, and Kinlaw put himself, by his disrespect, at risk of being ejected himself. And I've also pointed out during that game, that was the first game where defensive coordinator Joe Witt had come down from the booth and he was on the sideline. And I told you, if your coordinator is on the sideline and you're showing your behind, you're not scared of your coordinator at all. And Joe Witt, as far as we know, didn't take any punitive actions to correct either Deron Payne or Kinlaw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when Dan Quinn in a presser was asked what kind of conversation he had with Deron Payne after Deron was ejected and then suspended because he didn't go to Spain to play against the Miami Dolphins, he was suspended for that game by the league, not by the team, but by the league. And all Dan Quinn said was, well, I talked with him and we have to think about, what Deron would say to the next person, the next player who might be in that position. No, that is wrong. See, that's poor decision making, and that is very soft. It's weak. It's soft. It's bad decision making because what I wanted to hear was I spoke with Deron Payne and I let him know he better not do that again. We had to play that game without him, and we had to play the next game without him. The first game because he got ejected, the second game because he got suspended. So I told him he better not do that again. That's what I wanted to hear from Dan Quinn. Oh, but no, that's too much like right. Dan is worried about what Deron will teach the next person. Each one teach one. Well, no, I don't need you teaching somebody how to act when you don't know how to act and you have a coach and a defensive coordinator who neither Witt nor Quinn punish these guys. And nobody even asked, okay, well, what did you say to Kinlaw? Because Kinlaw was so busy trying to, be an advocate for Deron Payne.
Deron Payne, yes. Yep.
Wait a minute. And then we hear about Kinlaw once again coming into the stadium late.
Unprofessional.
And then Frankie Louisville, man, you just had to fight with the league about the way you tackle.
Yep, the hip tackles. Yep.
Because the league wanted to punish him.
If he didn't appeal that, he would have been suspended as well.
Exactly.
So, I don't know, Denise. It's just
lack of discipline. It's a lack of discipline, and this is why I don't want to see jokers dancing. See, it's the little things that add up. So you have a player in Deron Payne who loses his cool, who wants to wait until later to punch a guy who should have been hit right then, right there, so we could see, okay, he punched you punched him back. No, you're slow. And that's part of the problem with this defense anyway, being too slow. You think too slow, you move too slow. It's too much. But then we have Kinlaw who gets to mouth off at a referee, then he gets to come in late. And Frankie Louisville, he said, well, this record, this losing streak, this is not us. Sweetheart, it's not me. It's not D Nice. It's not two of a kind. It is you. Hello.
Because at the end of the day, you on the field. You got to play. Right. You got to play. So look, Denise, let me ask you this: with everything that you and I are feeling, and we're seeing how this season is going, do you think at the end of the season, once we reevaluate things from Adam Peters on down, do you think we should look into possibly for a new OC? In a new DC next year? I'm saying this as far as OC. I was once upon a time, I was really high on Cliff Kingsbury. But now that has changed, Denise. You know why that's changed? Because to me, his offense, he lets defenses dictate too much to him. With an offense, and as a guru that you're supposed to be, an offensive guru, you're supposed to dictate to the defense. It's too gimmicky for me. And I also have always said, I do not think that Jaden Daniels will evolve as a quarterback being in this gimmicky system. I believe he needs to be more in a pro-style system with maybe some little gimmick here and there. But if we decide to keep Cliff Kingsbury next year, this offseason, because I don't think that he's going to be heavily courted this year like he was last year, somebody needs to sit him down, i.e. DQ need to sit him down and say, hey, look, we need to change this up. We're not running the ball. We're not committing to the ball, running the ball. We're not sticking with what works. We always want to get pass happy. I understand this is a pass happy league, but at the end of the day, we don't have no identity on the offensive side. Forget that we're talking about the defense. What is our identity on this offensive side? Because right now, all we have, really, when you think about it, Denise, is 17, Terry McLaurin, and JD5. And we need more help. So give us some type of identity, because as you and I both know, the run game opens up your passing game, and your passing game opens up your run game. So My question to you: would you like to see us in the off season go for another OC? We already know it's evident about a DC, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, during the off season, I would like for this team to keep an eye out for new leadership across the board. Now, I'm not saying get rid of Dan Quinn, okay?
Okay.
Because just like our former Commanders, Redskins player Fred Smoot,
Yeah.
so aptly pointed out, when you fire someone,
Who you gonna get?
you haven't solved the problem.
Right. You're right.
Okay, because
Right.
you have to think about who you are going to hire to replace that person
Mhm.
who wasn't performing well.
Yeah.
So I would like for management to keep their eye out for new coaches, a new head coach, and new coordinators. But head coach would bring in their own people. Now, see, I'm not advocating for Dan Quinn to be fired now. I think he should have a third year,
I
because that
think so.
first year, the
I think so.
championship was a fluke. That great first season, that was a fluke. This second year has been trial and tribulation, okay, with all the injuries and the mishaps.
Yeah.
And this third year will prove who he is and how he manages. Now,
Yeah.
I already know,
Mhm.
okay, I'm telling you right now, I have observed his management style. It is insufficient. I
You should
have
not.
observed his
You're not.
decision making. It is poor, okay,
Mhm.
and that's not going to change. That is not going to change. What will change is the performance of certain players. Okay, that will change.
It sounds like to me, Denise, that you're almost kind of labeling DQ as like a Ron Rivera 2.0.
He is.
Wow.
And look here.
Wow.
Ron Rivera was battling cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. Dan Quinn doesn't even have that excuse.
Mhm.
Dan Quinn doesn't even, I mean, it is, his decision making is bad. And look, he chose Joe Witt Jr.
Yes.
And I will say this about Joe Witt Jr. This game, the way we play ain't for everybody. Well, you know what? To Joe Witt's credit, if credit can be given to him at all,
Yeah.
his defense was never shut out.
Well, I know, and that's what I was going to say to you is that now this is making DQ look bad with Joe Witt, because, like you said, Joe Witt defense never got shut out.
They never got shut out.
So, like, under DQ Tulich, that was bad this week.
This is on Dan Quinn. This is Dan Quinn's defense.
That was bad. That was really, that was.
This is Dan Quinn's defense. This is Dan Quinn's defense. Okay, so he can't put it on anybody. But I kept saying. Remember, I said right here on Two of a Kind Sports. I said, wait a minute. When did Dan Quinn realize that Joe Witt Jr. wasn't doing a good job calling plays on defense? I said, if Dan Quinn decided in his mind that he would do things differently, he should have had a crucial conversation with Joe Witt to say, hey, Joe, the way you're running this defense is not the way it should be run. What I want you to do is make these changes.
Right.
He didn't do that. He sat back and he let Joe Witt fail. And he's doing the same thing. Let me get this part out.
Yep.
Dan Quinn is doing the very same thing with Cliff Kingsbury.
That was my point.
We the fans, we the viewers, we the spectators, we the watchers all see where Cliff Kingsbury's play calling is deficient, where it's gone wrong. We see it. We've been calling it out.
Like this, run the ball. He need to yell to him, run the ball.
But DQ is sitting there watching his team go all the way down the field, get into the red zone, and then start passing when the run game is what brought you to the dance. Come on now. So he's not telling Cliff Kingsbury, hey, look, what you're doing isn't working. I need you to make these particular changes, because if I was calling the plays on offense, I would do things differently. And as head coach, I have the authority to tell you how to do your job.
Look at Dan Campbell has done with the Detroit Lions. He's, as the head coach, he took over the offense, and he's not even an offensive guru, but he took over. You know what I mean? Because he wanted to have an identity, more smash mouth. And that's why I feel with Dan. Dan needs to put more of his stamp on this offensive defensive side.
Dan has no stamp, man. Get out of here.
He
Get
don't
out of
have
here.
no identity at
There
all.
you go again. There you're always trying to sprinkle sugar and pour honey.
Yes.
Dan has no identity. He's got no touches and anything to put on anything because
Okay.
this is his team.
But Denise, what made him get to this position now? He was a defensive mind back with Seattle, even when he was the head coach with the Atlanta Falcons, even though it was debacle in the Super Bowl and he lost to Tom Brady. But he's gone to the big dance. What by now you would think that he was learned from some of these mistakes. And I understand loyalty because you have loyalty throughout the year and you have it throughout the season and with all coaches of being loyal. But loyalty will get you fired, DQ. Loyalty will also have you nobody wanted to hear. They tune you out. And I'm starting to hear some of the fans tune DQ out. They don't even want to hear what he has to say after the pressers. You know what I mean? It's just now it's getting to a point. I mean, it's beyond toxic, but it's getting to a point. I believe that give him another third year, but after that third year, Denise, I don't know. I really don't know because and then what does that say with you with Adam Peters and Mark Newberg? I'm a DQ and I'm an AP fan, but at the end of the day, it's all results driven. And right now, that first year was very fluke, and it showed really who we are now. I think I think the team that we have now is really who we are. You know what I mean? The first year was so fresh with Jaden Daniels, you know what I mean? And then we had the gimmicky offense. But you go back to Cliff Kingsbury when he was in Arizona, same thing happened with Kyler Murray, okay? That the offense was thriving the first couple of years, and then it would happen. The NFL caught up to it, and then they start losing. So, Cliff, it's time to dig in your tool bag, my guy. It's time for you. You say you look at other offenses. Well, get some of those other offenses and put it to your tool bag. Something has to give in this offseason, Denise.
Cliff Kingsbury is looking at other offenses beat his team. That's what he's looking at, which is the same thing we've been looking at. We've been looking at other offenses beat this Commanders team. So, and outperform them, get out coached. I mean, the whole deal.
We've been out coached all year.
But Dan Quinn chose Cliff Kingsbury.
Yes.
Dan
he chose his whole staff.
Joe
entire staff, yes.
So this is Dan Quinn's signature, and this defense that's performed as poorly as they have ever performed under him.
Yes.
Okay. This is Dan Quinn's defense. We can't put it on Joe Witt. Joe Witt didn't call any of the plays. And I said,
right.
And I said, with Dan Quinn taking over the play calling on defense, initially the team would respond very well. They would respond favorably to that change because that's what this burgundy and gold team does. When something changes, they perform better.
Right.
They respond very well to change initially, but there is no sustainability. And this Dan Quinn-led defense only took 2 games, 2 weeks, 2 games, 2 weeks to just totally flat line. Totally flat. You know what? Let me see. Because I gotta check. I gotta check again.
Check the polls.
Oh my goodness, yes. No pulse, no vital signs, no heartbeat, no nothing. Just flat line. I'm sorry, folks. We have to declare. We have to declare it. The life force is gone. We have to declare that. Now, maybe a resurrection, maybe be nice with all of his kindness and good hopes. Maybe he can play you into a resurrection. Okay, maybe he can bring you back from the dead. But this is your funeral. You died. The Vikings, their slogan, the big word for them is skull. Against the Commanders. It was score. Because that's what they did. The first quarter, they got a touchdown. The second quarter, they got a touchdown. The third quarter, they got a touchdown and a field goal. The fourth quarter, they got a touchdown and they passed it around. So, and that's why I'm wearing black, folks, because this here is a funeral. Okay, the burgundy and gold has been laid to rest by the 4-8 Minnesota Vikings. I mean, the only thing the Vikings didn't do is toss our team in Lake Minnetonka. That's the only thing they didn't do.
Man, it was 2-degree weather out there too. So woo, that wouldn't have been fun right there. That
Just
would have been fun.
ridiculous. I mean, this game was nothing short of an epic
It was
fail.
hard. It was hard to watch, Denise. And that's funny, as we even going through this whole recap, we haven't even really talked about any positives that we did because there was no positive in this game with us. You know
No.
what I mean?
We
Um,
had sacks.
Block balls. I mean,
We had interceptions.
yeah.
And Ward from the Vikings. Let me say this: Ward
Mhm.
from the Vikings put that really dirty, bad, hard, low hit on Zach Ertz,
Yeah,
where we
it was a
saw.
high low hit. It was a high low.
And
Yeah.
when you look at that hit in slow motion, you see the way it was gruesome. You see the way Ertz's leg went. You
Yeah.
know, the
I
leg
knew
is
it was
not
bad.
it's
I knew
not
it.
made to bend that way.
Right.
So that was really demoralizing. And this game against the Vikings
Hmm.
is the very epitome of insult added to injury because the insult was being shut out. The
Yeah.
injury
Woo.
occurred to your quarterback, Jaden Daniels,
Hmm.
okay, with his re aggravated injury. And then we had Zach Ertz, who's going to be out definitely for the rest of the season. They're talking about his career might be over because he's close to retirement anyway, but
Yeah.
certainly not under these circumstances. So
Yeah.
it's
You don't want
bad
to go out
for
like this. You don't want
Ertz.
to go out like that. You definitely.
Right.
I think if he's able and healthy enough to come back next year, I think he'll try to come back because as a vet, I don't care. You don't want to go out like that. Not going
Exactly.
into you. You want to go out on your own terms.
But this was insult added to injury.
Yes.
Literally, the insult, the injury, it was all there. The Vikings handed all of it out. Okay.
Hmm.
They doled all of the punishment out. Insult, injury, shut
Right.
down, shut out, hurting the players. And it was just, I'm hoping that Dan Quinn has already been on the phone to New York to Goodell's office. Is Goodell's office still in New York? I don't care where his
Yes.
office is. I don't work anyway. But I hope that Dan Quinn has already called Goodell's office
Hmm.
to let Goodell know that Ward should definitely be punished. He should be looking at a
Well,
fine and the
well,
suspension.
here's the thing though that with that Denise, when they talking about this targeting rules, that's those type of injuries you're going to have more with ACLs are blown out because of people afraid of getting fined, of hitting high or hitting a defensive receiver. So when you saw that play, Zach Ertz got hit low by Ward, as you stated, but he also got hit up top. So which made him flip over.
But he
That
was in the air when
yeah,
he got hit, and that he was defenseless.
yeah, he was defensive, but at the same time, you know, if you didn't hit him, then he's the ball is still live. So you have to actually touch him. I mean, but that's the thing that I've always said with the NFL. I said you're gonna have more people blown out knees because you have this targeting rule, helmet to helmet stuff. So you're gonna have players going low, especially a big guy. Zerk Zach Ertz is a big guy. So that's not somebody you want to kind of hit up high. So as a smaller defender as he was, I mean, that's what you told him. Hit him at the legs because your legs, you can't go nowhere without your legs. But unfortunately for Zach Ertz and our prayers from
So
two
you're
of the
saying you don't think that hit was dirty?
I really don't. I think it was it was like a kind of like a 1-2 type of thing. Like it happened so fast.
That's
I
what
don't.
we have slow motion for. We
Yeah,
saw
but in real time, I mean, I don't see where he could have pulled up as a player. I think he made a good tackle, a good clean play. That unfortunately, our guy just got hurt on it.
okay.
I've gone back and looked at it a couple of times. I don't really think like he was maliciously trying to blow his knee out. As you see, he hit him more in his pad level, which is in his thighs. And at the end of the day, as a DB, that's all you can ask for. That's what your DBs coaches teach you. Hit him low, and he didn't really hit him in the knee, but the way the impact it made his leg buckle, it just was bad. It was really bad for Zach. And
It was horrible. I think
yeah,
it was a dirty hit, but hey, Dan Quinn may not think it's a dirty hit either because the nice soft thing to do,
uh-huh.
okay, is to just say, okay, well, that's unfortunate. It happens. I would be calling Goodell's office. No, I want him
Yeah,
fined. I want him suspended. It's dirty because they called us for less.
Yeah,
They've
yeah,
called
yeah.
us for
And
they
they
just
might already
Frankie,
puppet them. They probably will.
Frankie
Because,
Lou just had to fight. Okay,
yeah.
so it's not like the NFL is allowing a whole bunch of stuff, especially when it comes to Bergen and Gold. But see,
Mm-hmm.
this is where Dan Quinn can show that he's kind of toughening up and be a real advocate for his guys who do actually deserve to be, defended.
Yes.
So I just and I don't like Adele anyway, so I wouldn't turn down a chance to fight with him anyhow and to
Right.
try to call him out for some type of preferential favoritism. So but we disagree on that, just like we disagreed on
It's okay. It's
the
okay.
overtime
That's
decision.
healthy. That's definitely healthy, and it's okay because someone out there is thinking like how you're thinking, and someone is thinking like how I'm thinking. So that's what we do here at Two of a Kind. As we always say, this is a safe space, and this is therapy here. You know what I mean? This is where you can
Well,
talk
this
about.
therapy is not working for me. I have to look. I
That's
want
why
I
you got
want
to
you
go
to
through many
tune in.
therapy sessions, Denise.
Tune in to more Two of a Kind, because look here, this funeral, this darkness, this dark cloud,
Yeah.
this losing streak. I am telling you, folks, I just cannot take it. It is too hard. It is too hard. And let me tell you, I was not on the bandwagon throwing this team a ticker tape parade because they tried so hard against the Denver Broncos. The coaches, Dan Quinn, let me just put it on him. He should have made the decision to say, hey, stop the bleeding. Let's stop losing. I'm going to choose to tie instead of choosing to try to go for it all when I know the probability doesn't exist for us to even get into the end zone 2 times. So we could have gone into this game most likely tied. And like I said, you're not wiping the slate clean, but at least you can try to wipe the slate, get the slate wiped. And then you don't come into this game with a losing streak and then you get beat. I mean, the way these Vikings played, I mean, you would think that these guys are Pro Bowlers. They are not.
You thought they were world beaters. You would thought they were world beaters, and they are. I mean, that just shows you the state of our team, Denise. I mean, we got a lot of work to do.
So going forward, okay, because this past is too dark and too daunting and too traumatic. I am sufficiently traumatized. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's just try to, because Dan keeps talking about another day, another game, moving forward, going on, and all this stuff. So moving forward, okay, we get to go to East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Yes.
To play against the New York Giants, who we have been battling mightily. We've been fighting them hard to take the spot at the bottom of the NFC East. Okay, we've been battling those Giants.
That is terrible. We're fighting for bottom. I mean, Lord, that is terrible. You know what? This is where the PTSD has come into us as fans.
Yes.
We thought we would never, ever feel this feeling again or see this. You know what I mean? The way that we're seeing it this season. I mean, we went from highs to highs, and we are really low this year, Denise. Year 3, it has to be better for this regime. I'm sorry. Because if you don't next year, if this is not a playoff team, I'm not saying have to go to as far as we went. But if this is not a playoff team, heads got to roll. Heads got to roll. And I tell you what, for me, for D Nice being a season ticket holder, if we don't, after next season, and we look like how we look this year, 2027, I won't be re-ing up. I'm gonna re-up this year. I know a lot of fans already are saying they're not re-ing up, but I'm not gonna, just bail out on my team yet. Yeah, I'm spending money, but I am optimistic that I think that we can still turn this around next season, not this year. This is over. This is a wash. But Adam Peters, Josh Harris, and I know Magic Johnson is going to put his touch on it. We have to somehow. They're all winners. Well, Magic is. Something got to give, Denise. Oh my gosh, this just reminds me so much of just the old regime. It's just like, it gives us no type of outlook. It gives us no type of optimistic, just being thinking that we are a team that we've come far, but really we have come nowhere, So we're going to have a lot of, as I said last week, I believe on this roster, it's going to be a lot of attrition. We're going to have some new guys, but it may be some attrition when it comes to coaches this year, Denise. So I'm for it, whatever we got to do, but we got to get this thing right. We have to.
I personally don't trust Dan Quinn's judgment. So he chose these people to be his coordinators. I don't trust him to choose any other coordinators who will do better. He hasn't even gotten rid of Joe Witt. Joe Witt is still part of the organization. He's still on the payroll, and that undermines the culture of
Yes.
this organization because it lets you know that based on not merit, not job performance, but
Mm-hmm.
based on feelings and based on relationships, you get to stay if the coach likes you. If the coach doesn't like you and you're not performing your duties, well, then you're fired and you're out the door. And that is preferential treatment. That is favoritism. And somebody can cry discrimination. Somebody can cry about disparate treatment. It undermines the organization's culture. Okay. Dan Quinn is not showing good judgment. He watched Joe Witt fail. Now he's watching Cliff Kingsbury fail without taking corrective action. Part of a coach's job is to direct his coordinators. Okay, that's part of his job. And
Yeah.
he's not doing that. He's sitting back, letting his coordinators operate like they have their own individual kingdoms. And that's why this team is dysfunctional and failing, and they're not on the same page. And they don't play what we
Right.
always love to talk
So,
about, complementary football. They don't
right.
play
So
that.
I think it's a fine line because I get what DQ is doing. He's trying to let his position coaches be accountable. Okay. But you're right. In the same of that, when it ain't going right, at some
How
point
does accountability look?
right, you got to step in and say, hey, this ain't working. Let's try this way, or let's X this out, or let's simplify. To me, it seems like a little bit like to me, Cliff Kingsbury running the team. I'm seeing that he's on a longer leash than Joe.
Running or ruining?
No, he's doing both.
Are we
I
going to put
think,
that I in there and
yeah,
say he's ruining the team?
ruining the team because I feel like he's on a longer leash than Joe Witt. You
Yes.
took the reins from Joe Witt. Why? What's going on with Cliff? You know what I'm saying? This is no reason for this team, this offense, have to look last week the way they look, and then this week you go to Minnesota and you produce a donut.
No points at
No
all. Not
points at
even a
all.
field goal. Joe Moody, I'm not Moody, Joe Moody.
Moody, yeah,
Moody didn't get a chance to even
Jake
kick.
Moody,
Jake Moody didn't
yeah,
get a chance to kick a field goal, and we know he can do that. We
yeah.
know he's good for it.
Well, he had a chance in the first half, but when we were in the fourth and goal, but we decide to what go for it. And I get it, but
I
at some
get it.
point, sometimes I say to DQ, I understand the analytics and all that stuff, but sometimes get the points, and let's live for another day because that can stop the bleeding.
Yeah,
You
I
didn't
can
stop the
understand
bleeding.
that in the beginning. In the beginning, you have time, you have opportunity, you're
Yeah,
hopeful, and you think you can take corrective action. But as you go along in the game, I mean, there are 4 quarters, and what the Minnesota Vikings did in this game is they scored in all 4 quarters of the game. They didn't let one quarter go by where they didn't get in that end zone.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They scored all 4 quarters of the game, and their defense was causing havoc with us because they were intercepting our balls. They were
Mm-hmm.
forcing fumbles. Okay. They were giving their offense added time of possession. And like I said, JJ McCarthy,
Yeah.
he looked elite.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, wait a minute. This is the guy who screws up 6 ways from Sunday. But just like you said, to your point, playing against the Commanders, they all of a sudden
Get
got
right. Get
they
right.
got right.
Yeah.
And let me tell you,
We to
my
get right.
confidential informant
Mm-hmm.
told me before the game.
Uh-huh.
My confidential informant told me before the game. He said, what happens in this game is going to lie squarely on the shoulders of the Minnesota Vikings. He said this game is for the Minnesota Vikings to lose. He said if the Minnesota Vikings do what they want to do, they will win. If they fail themselves, they will lose. He said your Commanders have no say in this game. The best your Commanders can do is show up.
Right.
Suit up and show up, but they're not going to have any say in the outcome of this game. That's what I was told before the game, and I'm thinking, that the Minnesota Vikings are not a good team. They're just one win ahead of us. I didn't believe all of that because I thought the Commanders could go in here and have a real chance. Going into Minnesota, I thought they could have a real chance to win based on everybody's record and past performance.
Right.
Well, my confidential informant was right.
Right.
It was all down to Skol.
Right.
Because Skol scored.
have you noticed this too? When you look at DQ, when it comes down to anybody that's under that Mike Shanahan tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that coached under that Mike Shanahan tree out coaches DQ when they play against them.
Absolutely.
Kevin O'Connell, Mike McDaniels.
Kevin O'Connell did it with the greatest of ease.
He definitely wanted to soccer to us because we fired him when he was the OC under Norv. I mean under Ron. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
he definitely wanted, but that's something. I kind of started thinking about that the other day. I was like, every time DQ goes against somebody under the Shanahan tree, he gets out coached. He gets out coached badly, not just out coached. He gets out coached badly, Denise.
This season, he's been out coached every time with the exception of 3.
Yeah.
Every time with the exception of 3. So who's not out coaching him? I mean, come on now. Everybody, I see, the pattern with Shanahan's guys. I see that. But Dan Quinn has been doing such a horrible job. He's been getting out coached by people who didn't come up under Shanahan. So, it just goes across the board, which is why I need this team to make decisions, not to lose. I mean, I know they want to win, but you got to cut out the nonsense that is making you lose. And all of these players are way too confident in their prospects of starting in the next game. And I don't see the anger. I see more anger and emotion in this fan base.
You don't see the
than I see from the players.
Yeah, I agree.
Who are out there. There is no anxiety. Like everybody at this point should be fearing the pink slip. Okay, everybody should be afraid that they're going to get a pink slip.
Yeah.
But apparently, in Dan Quinn's world, the world of the mighty Quinn, everybody gets to stay.
Everybody gets that luxury.
Continues to get paid. Everybody stays with the organization.
For right now, we'll see at the end of the season. But I understand.
What we're going to see at the end of the season is the last ditch effort being made from all the backlash, from all the failing. See, that is reactionary. A good coach who can lead a team to a championship is proactive, not reactive. Dan goes whichever way the wind blows him because he's soft. He's soft. And I don't like that. I don't like his decision making. I don't like his management style. I don't like the way he's running this team. I don't like the way he runs his practices. I don't like the way he manages these players. And we're seeing now some behavioral / attitudinal problems. What about the culture? I mean, come on now. So, no, Dan Quinn is not going to lead this team. And this is Denise talking, okay? I'm telling you what I'm seeing. Dan Quinn is not going to be the coach to lead this team to a championship. He's not. He's not the one. He doesn't have what it takes.
Gotcha. Well, look, Denise, before we wrap this up, I want to ask you, going into this week, East Rutherford, New Jersey. We play the New York Football Giants. What do you predict? What is your prediction? And do you see this being a much closer game? Do you see this team waking up a little bit this week after this debacle of this past week? Or do you think we're going to have the same outcome?
As a division rival, I see the New York Giants playing for pride. They're at the bottom of the NFC East.
We're right there with them. We're right there with them.
They have fought hard and mightily to be at the bottom of the NFC East. And the only team that anybody considers to be as bad as they are is us.
Yes.
And we're going on the road. We're going to be.
I thought I would never see this again.
Well, you know what? You are seeing
it's heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking.
Well, but see, it's our hearts that are breaking.
Yeah.
You listen to the players on this team, they philosophize the same way their head coach is philosophizing. Well, next time, because this is unacceptable. And no, we don't like this. Yeah. I see the Giants who've already been beaten by us once. Okay, we started the season opener beating them. I see the Giants.
We beat them in week 2.
No, we
No,
beat
week
them
one.
in week
I'm
one.
sorry, week one. Yes, it was
Week
on.
one, we beat them 21-6.
That's right. I was
Week
right there. I
one.
forgot. Yes, I'm getting my weeks back.
Well, you don't have that many games to confuse it with because they only won 3. But okay, that's fine.
That is
but
true.
I see these Giants playing for pride.
Okay,
in front of their home crowd. I would like to say my Commanders are going to beat the Giants for a second time and make this losing streak end. And they're going to do it against the Giants. But it all depends on how much pride the Giants have, because that's all that's left here. I mean, nobody's playing for a playoff spot. Nobody is playing, to go anywhere beyond
draft position. We're playing for draft position now between us two. We can flip flop.
Look,
right now we're I believe we are the 5th pick, and they're ahead of us.
We're number 5. We're number 5.
We moved from 6
rank number 5.
So I think if, let's say, the Giants beat us, I think they'll catapult us, and vice versa. I think if we beat them, we're staying pat. But I don't know. I mean,
I can't get excited about the draft because until I see some better player development. Okay. Because Jaden, he wasn't the last draft class, but he was the best draft pick we've had in years. In years, the best Heisman Trophy winner and all. And what did Blondie say? She had a heart of glass. Well, Jaden seems to have some tissue of glass. He's got some ribs of glass. He's got an elbow of glass. I mean, he's just got several body parts of glass. So these draft picks, I hope we do well wherever we land. I'm hoping that we make the right selections and the right additions to this team, because we do want the Burgundy and Gold to become champions. We believe in their, ability and their desire, but it's not coming together. And I hold Dan Quinn responsible for that. He's not the right leader for this team. So if the Giants come with pride, then the Giants, might be able to grab one from us and make it even. We beat them, so they beat us. But if we beat the Giants, then I think that would do a lot for the team's confidence, because after the Giants, it's
a division win.
We've got the Eagles.
Yeah.
We've got the Eagles after the Giants. So we're going to need everything we've got and then some. We're going to have to put this.
Well, if you ask me, Denise, if the 4 games that's left in the season, all like against our division foes, the Giants probably the only team that we probably got a chance to beat. I don't see us beating Dallas on Christmas Day. Nope. I don't see us. We have to play Philly twice.
We already know about Philly. We don't even have to question the Dirty Birds. Okay.
So what I'm hoping for this sweeper is against the Giants. If you can get this W this week, that will be your only chance. But I just don't see it though, Denise.
Yeah,
I mean, not for what I seen last week.
Right. What happened with the Vikings has made it kind of apparent that this team doesn't really have another win in them. But if they can, beat the Giants, then they will at least get one more win. And my confidential informant told me that the Commanders would win 4 games this season. That was the number, 4 games. I thought there's no way, but that's what we're looking at. We are hoping, wishing, and praying for a 4th win before the season's end. Now, look, the Dirty Birds, we know what they're going to do to us. Now, what I'm hoping for this year of our Lord 2025 is that the fans don't get beat up, because the team beats our team up enough. I hope those Philly fans don't beat up our Commanders fans, because there's been too much of that going on. So let's hope that during this wonderful Christmas season, we can have peace and we can have good football and leave it on the gridiron to the professionals who have multi-million-dollar contracts. Leave it to them. Right.
Well,
so that was my long way of saying I don't know what's going to happen. You asked me for a prediction. That was my long-winded way of saying I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I can only hope.
I want people out there to understand that too. We are we are for our Commanders, but one thing about us is facts over feelings. Okay,
Yes.
when we're doing good, we're going to talk good. When we're not playing well, we're going to talk about that as too. That's
We
one
tell
thing
the
about
truth.
this platform right here. We're not going to hide anything, good or bad or indifferent, but we're going to be respectful. But at the same time, we just demand a lot, and I think the fans demand a lot. It's time for the players to see that, hey, I need to step it up. If anything, like you said, Denise, we need to play with some type of pride. And the season is already washed, but we need to go into next season with some type of momentum. Everybody's putting everybody's putting film on tape. Okay, they're putting their play on tape. So now
Yeah.
it's about evaluations, regardless if you're here at the Commanders or if you're somewhere else. If you're not putting nothing good on film, then you're going to be out this league. And the NFL, as we all know, is not for long. Okay,
Not for
so
long.
I just want to see this team, Denise, go out here, play with some passion, play with some pride, play with passion like two of a kind sports. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, play with some type of aggression. Like you said,
Dan Quinn is playing this game with blinders on, not even a mask. He just has straight blinders. So
you're right.
we'll have to see. Now, we fans, we know what
we need a heartbeat again, Denise. We need another heartbeat. I mean, because right now we have none. Like you said, we flatlined.
Let's check. Let's do this check. Let's check it out. Let's
check it out.
Where are we? Oh, pulse, heartbeat, vital signs. I'm not getting anything. Nope, be nice. I'm sorry. We're just, but look, there is the power of prayer.
Yes, it is.
And with prayer, there might be the miracle of a resurrection. Okay, there's always that. So it's a test of your faith. Test of your fandom and a test of your faith, all at the same time with these Commanders. This burgundy and gold is something.
Yeah. Hey, but we're gonna always rock out with them though, Denise. So
yes.
I don't know. At the end of the day, this is so hard to take in. It's so hard to even talk about, but that's what we push through this like we do with anything else. As you see, we didn't even give a full recap of the game because it was really nothing for us to get a recap
the full recap. Wait
a
minute,
no, when I'm saying far as that's because we gave
it was as full as we can stand, okay?
That's what I'm saying.
And look, and you are wearing some symbolism as well, because I see you have on your black, and then you've got the rainbow, because look here, we need to get to the other side of that rainbow. We need to fly right over that rainbow and get to the pot of gold that must be waiting for us, because there has to be some better, bigger reward for all of this suffering that we're going through.
Yes. I hope so, Denise.
Hopefully.
I'm going to stay optimistic. I hope so, because I can't take another year of this next year. I really can't. Something has to change. Something has to change, and you're going to, it got to start with, I know you don't want to talk about that, but it has to start with, after the season is over with, everybody does their exit interviews, and we start getting ready for the draft that's in late April. We got a draft well.
I'm cool with the draft. I'm looking forward
to well, and we got to get some good free agents in here.
Because look, Dan Quinn is not going to be making all the picks. There will be management higher than him.
Well, Mark Newberg and AP got to get on. For right now, if you look at our picks, right now your number 2 pick in Jazon Newton, I'm not number 2, but second round pick Jazon Newton ain't playing up to nothing. Ben Sinnott. So we got to start hitting it right now. Out of your high picks, the only 2 high picks that has really been producing for us is Jaden Daniels. Now, when we look at it in the totality, and you have to look at Josh Connolly. Okay, people, he had to lick his wounds early in the season, and I'm kind of glad he went through what he went through, because he played against some top echelon type of DNs. But look at him now; he's scoring out at one of the highest offensive tackles by Pro Football Focus. If you look up his stats, you'll see that he has been very efficient. Him and Lerming Tunsil. Right. Okay, so we got to hit him right now. We only go into this draft with 6 picks. Okay, now if we can get Averall, let's say we finish number 3. Okay, Averall or Bain, that's from Miami, as DNs, because I believe we need to draft a DN and we have to get one in free agency. If we cannot get one of those 2 defensive ends who are game changers, we need to trade back to get some more picks. Because right now we don't have a second round pick and we don't have a third round pick. So we need to recoup something. because we have so many missing pieces on this team. And if Kyle Pitts becomes available as far as tight end next year, I love Zach Ertz, but I think Zach Ertz needs to be your number 2 option. If Kyle Pitts is
Right.
available, I would go after him because Jaden Daniels needs a tight end that can get yak yards, and Kyle Pitts can
Exactly.
get yak yards. That will help Terry. That will help open up this offense, and it will help the defense. I mean, help the running backs. Okay, so right now, tight end offense is not really my priority. My priority is on this defensive side, and my first very main pick I need is a DN because we can't get no pass rush at all.
Right.
You saw that this past week. We were only rushing 3 and 4, and it's like them guys was up there playing patty cakes with each other.
Right.
So we gotta solidify this defense, and I'm expecting that from DQ, who's supposed to be a defensive minded coach. I expect him to get this defense right.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah,
And that's ambitious.
that's
Okay,
ambitious.
that's very aspirational,
Yes, it
and I
is.
appreciate that.
Thank
And
you.
I can only hope that Dan Quinn will change his ways, change his mindset, change his behaviors, and live up to your expectations because
Yes.
he has failed in my eyes
Yeah,
already.
so far so good.
I'm not firing him though.
It's mixed results because what he did as in 12-5 last year and this year. So right now he's 50-50. That's why I say the third year
For
for me,
third year.
the third year for me is really what's going to tell me if we should go on with him or we should just go in another
The
direction.
third year is going to show you that while the players have changed,
Hmm.
because every season they do. Okay, this is why I don't live my life in the rearview mirror. Everybody's hung up on
Right.
what happened last season. Last season is over.
Last season was
This is
last
the
season.
season we're
Right.
in. So Dan Quinn is going to show you next year
Hmm.
that his judgment is no better, his decision making is no better,
Hmm.
his processes of managing and running this team are all no better. Okay, but the players will change. The players will have different playing styles. They'll have different abilities, and therefore you will get some different outcomes.
Hopefully.
But I'm telling you, oh, you will, because again, this team responds favorably to change.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, initially,
yeah.
it's just not sustained.
Right.
Okay, the
Right.
change is
That's
just
what I'm
not.
looking for: sustained success, not this just 1 year, 1 year. That's ludicrous to me. You know what I mean? I want to see
Yep,
sustained success.
exactly.
But and then, not to keep getting long winded on this, but I want us to also be an organization where we have depth because right now we have no depth. So when we have situations like we having now of injuries, if you have depth, then that's when the next man
Right.
can actually come and play. But we
And
don't have depth.
you don't have this
Right.
huge fall off like you do.
Exactly,
You
because
got
we
this huge
didn't
fall
just
off.
fall off. We fell off a cliff. We went from
Totally.
the top of the
Yep.
mountain to falling to the bottom of the cliff within one
Yep.
season, and that is so mind-boggling, Denise. I can't understand that. But as I said,
Injuries played a key
yeah, but
role in that.
injuries is part of the game. At the
Yep.
end of the day, injuries are going to be part of the game, but you
Yep.
have to have talent. And I believe we don't have enough talent on this team. We don't have enough game changers, and we don't have enough talent. And I'm sure a lot of fans agree with me,
Yeah, of course.
saying that we don't have enough talent. You know what I mean?
Talent doesn't lose like this.
No, it does not. And
Talent
coaches
doesn't.
coach and players play, but at the same time, we got to get talent around this team because if not, we're going to waste the good years of Jaden Daniels if we do not get this turned around, Denise. That's
If Jaden goes out and continues to play this season, you may not have a lot of Jaden Daniels left.
and
Jaden needs to spend this time
yeah,
continuing to rehab, to recuperate, and recover. He needs those 3 R's because he's not ready. Look,
I'm 50-50 on you with you. I mean, I get it. You're right, but at the same time, as football players play. They don't want to.
yeah,
If they're
but
healthy enough, they want to play.
there's a reason that football players are not my size.
Yeah.
Okay, football players are big and strong for a reason. They have to be sturdy,
Right.
and that's felt slight figure and frame that Jaden has. It has shown that it cannot withstand the pressures and the pummeling that
Right.
you take in this league. I
Need
mean,
more
come
muscle
on.
mass, like I've stated. Need more
He's
muscle mass.
injury prone. He's injury prone. I mean, the first game back, and it wasn't a tackle.
Yes, but I want people to stop making RG3 and saying we have RG4 comparisons,
That's
please.
never going
This
to
is
stop.
totally different. These are isolated injuries that he has
So
had.
what are the
You know what I
injuries
mean?
supposed to be? All associated?
I mean, no, but at the same time, they're not supposed to be associated, but at the same time, he is not RG3. He is a better player.
He's
Yeah,
not RG3, but
yeah.
there are parallels, and you know how people like to
Well,
draw comparisons. That's human
one
nature.
parallel. RG3 had one major injury. Jaden hasn't had that yet. That's derailed his career. So that's why I wanted people to
Come on now. Do you want me to run it down?
don't do that.
2 young black dynamic quarterbacks.
Well, that's this organization.
2 Heisman Trophy winners.
Yeah.
2 breakout rookie seasons. 2 injured seasons right after.
Okay.
Can't stay healthy, can't play.
Okay.
The similarities and the parallels are there, but I get your point because Jaden deserves to be viewed through a singular lens. So I would put it that way instead of acting like people are wrong and crazy and grasping at straws. There are similarities here. And in terms of this fan base and where they have put their hopes and their dreams and their money as fans, yes, the same way they poured all the love and support into RG3, they are now pouring that love and support into Jaden Daniels. Oh, and since we're asking for favors, can I please ask you to stop with the Jedi 5 stuff? Because the Empire struck back, baby, and those Jedi powers are now gone. Now, if he rehabilitates, if he recuperates, if he rests and recovers, maybe next season, Jaden will be able to show that he has somehow regained his Jedi powers. But in this year of our Lord 2025, Jaden has no Jedi powers. He's got no Jedi powers. He's been out more than he's been in.
That's true.
And we are now worried about every move he makes because we don't want him to get hurt again. And he is injury prone. I'm using that term because it does apply. He has had multiple injuries in one season. He's been out more than he's been in, but I want the best for Jaden as well. I'm not, all on the bandwagon like a lot of other people are, but I do want the best for him because I do want the best for my team. I want my team to win. And that's why I don't need to see Jaden play anymore because his body as what's a nice word for as careful as we need to be with his body. Okay. I don't I've been giving it already. So as careful as we need to be with his body in preparing and planning for the future. We want to preserve him as best we can for the future because this season, for all intents and purposes, is already on the books. Okay. We already know that we are definitely not playoff eligible. As horrible as we've been, we were barely eligible for regular season play. So we don't even need to talk about playoffs. Nothing about the playoffs. So let's just, I think it needs to be said that Dan Quinn should be proactive and he should use a sound mind.
Absolutely. Definitely have to be proactive.
And just because Jaden wants to get out there and just because players want to play doesn't always mean that players should play, especially when Jaden Daniels is the face of the franchise and like it or love it or lump it, he is the future of this team.
Yes, he is.
So if we allow him to get beat up and banged up now, we are only diminishing our chances of getting great future performance out of him. And we don't want to be responsible for ending Jaden's career prematurely.
Yeah.
So it's best to keep him out because, he needs his body. His body has shown us. Okay. Now, before I was like, play him. He's medically cleared, put him out there. But now that we've seen his performance and we have additional information to take into consideration, I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be wise. The course of wisdom says, keep him out and then unleash him on the empire when he regains his Jedi powers, which would be
when he regained it, huh? Okay,
yes.
that's
This one,
fair.
I can't hear about any Jedi's anymore because it's just a bit much. But I'm wishing the best for Jaden. Again, I wish Jaden, a speedy and full recovery,
Uh-huh.
and I hope that he gives his body the time and the treatment, the care, and the opportunity that it needs to get back, at full strength. That's where I want him to be, and putting
Mhm.
him out there right now would just go against that. It would be counterproductive. So that
Understood.
is my rant. That is my rave, and I will hand it back to you, D. Nice.
Yeah. So hey, I mean that was very valid. Denise, so this was like I said, this is a therapeutic session right here. And ladies and gentlemen, this is two of a kind. This is our first live stream. We have put out many, many videos and shorts. This is our first live stream. So what we want y'all to do, tell everyone, tell a friend so they can tell a friend. Next week, two of a kind sports will be going back live. As we do each week, we will recap each game, give our thoughts, but we need some feedback. So come on through next week, ladies and gentlemen. Check out Two of a Kind Sports. You can check us out now on X/Twitter at Two of a Kind Sports. Also, you can check us out on Instagram at Two of a Kind Sports. So, when you see our stuff, leave your comments, any suggestions, help us to grow. We're on a journey to 1,000 subscribers, and we need you out there, Commanders fan. Together, we're going to stand tall and we're going to stay optimistic. And as Denise said, we're going to make that heartbeat. We flatline right now, but we're going to get some type of pulse back. So I
Yes.
just want to tell everyone, thank you for tuning in to Two of a Kind Sports. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And please smash that bell icon so that you get all the notifications when we go live or when we drop a brand new video. Denise, what do you have to say before we close out?
Well, hey, look. Under these circumstances, I have to get with keep love alive 365. Something needs to be alive because this was a funeral today.
Yes,
So
it
if we
will.
can't keep the team alive, let's at least keep love alive 365. And hopefully we can breathe some new life into this team and bring about a resurrection. So keep love
Absolutely.
alive 365 right here on Two of a Kind Sports.
And as I always say, Denise, and I tell everyone, this is really a need of time. Please, everyone, love someone and hug someone. Thank you from D Nice and Denise with Two of a Kind Sports. We'll see you next week.